I'll go in that now.
Huh?
I'll go in that now.
What you send the kini? Any level send link yes.
Link is on.
No. You streaming mobile. Is it YouTube? Torí visual no fake be.
Visual no fake be. And what they join Zoom?
Oh, get the last time. They can so phone like
I send
the stream.
YouTube kini.
So
Yeah,
you tell me I want come.
I'll go to go.
The
YouTube is live now.
I can the link. Okay. YouTube me na share.
Yeah. Just open your YouTube. But
Excuse me. Wá. Okay. Mo fẹ́ rí àwọn participants.
Your go-to station.
Eléyìí is a guest. Àwọn tó tún.
Okay, the participants.
4.9 FM. Because health shouldn't be boring. Tune in.
Are we good to
Join
go?
the fun.
No. Ètò ìlú náà.
4.9, your number one fun health.
Home, yìí wà. Bàbá send okay.
Last time he said that.
Èsì lọ́jọ́ tí mi ò send ilé iṣẹ́ ni.
Oh, yeah, sure. That's how it go. I was just being sarcastic. That's how it go. Okay. Yeah.
It's 1 minute to go.
Bàbá send
Last time he said that.
Èsì lọ́jọ́ tí mi ò send ilé iṣẹ́ ni.
Oh, yeah, sure. That's how it go. I was just being sarcastic. That's how it go.
Share it.
Okay.
It's 1 minute.
Kọ́sì link àbí kí n gbèsè. Hello, sir. Yes, sir. Àti wá studio. Ẹ ṣé. Yes, sir. There is one. It's going. There is this Obafemi Jegede. Have you positioned him?
He knows who said error, that's all.
Ẹ̀yin lẹ máa flag.
Sir?
Ẹ̀yin lẹ máa bẹ̀rẹ̀.
Ẹ ṣe bí wọ́n ní ó máa sọ̀rọ̀ tó bá sọ̀rọ̀ ó máa wá.
Ó yá.
You can go? Yeah, let's go.
Very good evening to you. Time check, it is 3 minutes past 8 o'clock. And once again, welcome to Boiling Point Arena. And this is where we tackle the issues that sometimes stir public debates. And it also touches our lives. Tonight's conversation that sits right at the intersection of culture, religion, and identity. And trust me, it's not the one you want to miss at all. To take us into the heart of it all, I'm handing over now to Samuel Fatokun, who is standing by with our distinguished guests and will be guiding us through tonight's conversation. Over to you now, Samuel. Don't laugh.
Thank you very much, guys. It's so nice to be here this very beautiful Sunday evening. Thank you so much for that great background. And of course, just like the song we listened to, that's Great Nation by Timi Dakolo. We are actually one great nation right here. And that's very, very vital to the topic we are going to be treating tonight. I'm Samuel Fatoko, and a beautiful evening to you. This is the edition 34th of Boiling Point Arena. And as you all know, Boiling Point Arena is a current affairs program and an interview discourse interrogating issues of national importance, particularly those in furtherance of good governance and nation building. We do this every second Sunday in every month at 8 p.m. And here we are tonight once again. A warm welcome to everyone at that. Please stay tuned with us. But I would like to introduce our convener of the program. But before I do that, I'll need you to know that tonight is a very great one. And you definitely need to call every single person. People of different tribes, people of different religion need to be in this program. So in case you know a friend or brother or sister who belongs to any of the three main religions, tell them to show up on the Boiling Point Arena tonight. And of course, to the convener of the program, no other person than the only Dr. Ayo Arojulu. You're welcome. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Fatokun. A warm welcome to everyone. Ayo Arojulu is my name. This particular Boiling Point episode is a big one and a trending issue which has refused to abate. Don't forget, Boiling Point Arena is a Zoom interview for our global online followership with multiple media convergence. And as we speak, we are also live on radio across Lagos, Ogun, and Delta states. If you are within the catchment areas, please feel free to tune into Wash 94.9 FM. That's in Lagos, Sweet 107.1 FM, Abeokuta. Then also in Abeokuta, Roots 97, beg your pardon, 97.1 FM. Erimbe 94.7 FM, located in Shagamu, and Women Radio 91.7 FM. Of course, the latest addition is on cable, NSTV on GoTV channel 316. Special thanks to all our media partners. Here we are today, and straight to the point. Edition 34 of Boiling Point Arena is bringing to the front burner issues around culture, native custom, and tradition under the topic Secrecy versus Transparency, the battle over Yoruba monarchs' burial traditions and the future of Yoruba culture. Well, three juggernauts who are themselves authorities in their respective diverse fields of culture, modernity, and faith are on the podium tonight to dissect the issues. In a bit, I'll be handing over to my colleague, the man with the golden voice, Samuel Fatogun, to unveil our guest. In the meantime, however, let me mention that our keynote speaker and chair of the discourse, the Olowu of Owu Kingdom, Oba Professor Saka Matemilola, is already seated here. Let's move to Fatogun. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, my senior colleague. And of course, for the comments of the golden voice, I'll give God all the glory for that. Thank you very much. And perhaps let me unveil the man. And before I do the unveiling, Pastor Femi Emmanuel is right here with us. And I would like to say a happy birthday, having reached the septuagenarian milestone recently when he clocked 70, having been born on July 2nd, 1955. Congratulations to you once again, sir. Pastor Femi Emmanuel is an engineer, a one-time deputy speaker of the Oyo State House of Assembly, and a businessman turned preacher and founder and presiding pastor of Living Spring Chapel International with national headquarters at Agbowo-Ojo Expressway, Aduloju, Ibadan, and international headquarters at Ikeja, Lagos. Of a humble background, Pastor Femi Emmanuel had an encounter with the Lord in 1972 while still a teenager, and he has since been full of fire for God. He is a motivator and conference speaker. His mandate is to teach people undiluted word of God and the application of the word in order to bring out the best in them. His insightful messages and prophetic declarations make people find fulfillment in life and destiny. Pastor Femi Emmanuel is one of the most respected and sought-after ministers of the gospel in Nigeria. His popular Turning Point program is broadcast on various radio stations across the nation and beyond. And I can actually testify to that particular program is a very inspiring one. Now, moving on to the second person that we have here, another very great expert that we have right here with us. That's no other person than Sheikh Abdurrahman. But I would like to read a number of things that he has done and what he has as feathers on his cap. Born into a religious family in the Saleh Koto quarters of Ilorin, he began his early Islamic educational career at home on the lap of his mother, who taught him to read and write in Arabic. He proceeded to attend formal Islamic educational institutions after attaining a level of proficiency in Arabic and Quranic studies at home. He started formal Western education, a taboo for an Islamic scholar's son at the time, much later at the age of 14 in 1971. His father had a strong conviction that education is the real sense, and it has to be a combination of traditional Islamic, Western, and practical. Of course, that has to do with learning a trade, and he actually graduated from the University of Maiduguri, where he bagged a degree in mass communication and has worked as a media manager across all media of mass communication. A senior colleague, I would say, Imam Abdurrahman is listed among the 500 most influential Muslims in the world by the Royal Islamic Strategic Studies Centers, Amman and Jordan, and is currently the Imam and Khatib of the Ansar Uddin Society. Well, it's so nice to have you here, sir, but before unveiling a third guest, let me quickly go back to the convener, Dr. Ayo Arojolu, for an important information.
Well, thank you very much, Fatogun. I want to, before we unveil the third guest, I want to say that Professor Wande Abimbola, who is supposed to be here, some things cropped up at the last minute. Of course, Prof is a 92-year-old man. He actually wanted to even be here physically. But he has instead, that is, Professor Wande Abimbola has instead offered to be here by this time next month in the 35th edition of Boiling Point Arena to talk about one important thing, and that is the decadence in Nigeria's university system. Just book that date, second Sunday of September, that is when Professor Wande Abimbola will be talking about the decadence in Nigeria's university system. And given that, just within a matter of days, we have been able to fill in that gap. And I'll be asking Fatokun to unveil somebody who is well known in Nigeria, is an Ifa adherent. He said he has Ifa himself. And when I told him you'll be filling up the shoes of Professor One, he said, to compare to Prof. But you hear from Fatokun's mouth.
Yes, thank you very much for that. And of course, to talk about the final guest on the show today, he's an associate professor, and that's Professor Obafemi Jegede. Dr. Jegede is a guy in African indigenous knowledge, traditional medicine, and belief systems at the Institute of African Studies, University of Ibadan. In his areas of research, he has won national and international awards, among which are fellowships of the American Council for Learned Society and Senior Fellow, African Multiple Clusters of Excellence, Institute of African Studies, University of Bayreuth, Germany. Dr. Jegede is an internationally renowned scholar and the founder of Ojujua College of Yoruba Medicine. It's so nice to have you here.
Professor Jegede, you're welcome. Engineers, please help us put a face to Professor Jegede. Well, no time to waste tonight. We go into a very brief prologue on the subject matter. Culture, tradition, custom. These three words have related meanings, and sometimes they are used interchangeably. These three terminologies will be at play tonight in the raging issue of alleged desecration of age-long tradition and culture of secrecy and myth in the burial of Yoruba monarchs who joined their ancestors. The background to this issue is the fallout of the recent open burial of the demised Awujale of Ijebuland, late Oba Shikiru Adetono, exactly this time last month when the boiling point was on. Those who are avid practitioners, or let me say custodians of Yoruba culture and tradition, are outraged by the development. They argue that what is happening in Yoruba land is gradual erosion of traditional values of the people. Well, granted that culture is a way of life of a people, pundits who prefer a little bit of modernity will tell you culture is dynamic and not static. Tonight, we will be unmasking the controversy. And it is looking like it's going to be an intellectual clash, not between persons, but between tradition versus modernity, between secrecy versus transparency. Is our culture evolving? Is it outright desecration, or that modernity has taken over? Well, we will soon get to the firing line. Let me quickly bring up Kabiyesi, chair of the session, Oba Professor Saka Matemilola. Kabiyesi, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ojulu. Thanks, Mr. Fatoku. Is that from my side? Yeah. Okay, I doubt if it's. Can you hear me clearly, Dr. Ojulu?
We are hearing.
Okay, well, thank you very much. So let me start by welcoming discussants for today's event, the 34th edition of Boiling Point Arena. This is a topic that affects me directly as Oluwofu. So I would rather want to listen to discussants, bring their point of view across. But let me be very clear that this is something that a lot of people feel very emotional about, this subject we want to discuss. And I'm happy that we have eminent personalities who I think are very well positioned to help us provide points of view from their own perspectives. Imam Abrahman Ahmad, Pastor Femi Emmanuel and Professor Bafemi Jegede from the Islamic, the Christian, and the traditional Ifa perspective on the role of tradition in the activities, not just the burial, really. It's also the installation and then the role that an Oba plays when it comes to issue of traditional issues, culture, and how was the nexus between faith and tradition. And I think this is one thing that a lot of people get kind of confused most of the time. Again, before I hand over, let me thank our partners, the radio stations that have been our partners for quite a while and who have been supporting us, and all our participants who have kept faith with us all these months and who have constantly been part of the success of this program. Let me at this point hand over to the moderators, Dr. Arojolu and Mr. Fatokun, to help us move on with the program. I'd like to just sit back today rather than make detailed points around the issue as it affects me directly as well. So let me recuse myself at this point. I hope we do find this a productive session today. So let's enjoy the session. Thank you very much, Dr. Ojulu.
Thank you very much, Kabisi. Well, let's dig into it. I recall when we were choosing the topic, by the way, Kabisi is like the chairman of the editorial board and the think tank. And I said, can we do this? Kabisi said, why not? Any matter that affects Nigerians generally is worth bringing to the front burner. Thank you, Kabisi. Let me go straight, and I'm going to ask the same question to let us have. I'm going to start from Pastor Femi Emmanuel. Culture, tradition, customs, and in the light of what is happening, it's good to first have your initial perspective. All of us know what is happening with Yoruba land. All of us know that some people are embittered. But one thing that I know is this. After this boiling point session, we are going to unearth the truth. And I'm sure nobody will say everything about our culture is bad. I want to ask you, Pastor Femi Emmanuel, and I'm asking you this because you are particularly chosen. You are a professional in politics. You are not that ordinary. You are not the usual politician. You did politics, but you are a professional in politics. That means that what you would say will be deeper than what an ordinary pastor will say, because you already have a very wide worldview. Let's dig into it. Let's start from you, sir.
All right.
Needs to unmute his mic.
Hello, sir.
Can you hear me?
Hello, Daddy.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we are now hearing you now.
All right.
We are hearing.
I want to start by giving kudos and saluting the courage of Dr. Ayo Arowojolu and your team for hosting Boiling Point platform. It has been very illuminating, educative, exciting, and entertaining. And this is the 34th edition. I salute your courage. One of our challenges as a people is ignorance. And when you take knowledge and information away from people, then you can manipulate them, which is what has been happening in our society. So I appreciate this great effort of the Boiling Point platform, and I ask you to please continue it. Now, today's topic is very important, as you have said, secrecy versus transparency, the battle over Yoruba monarch, the burial tradition. Let me start by saying these four things. Number one, culture and tradition are very important. A people without a culture is a lost race. Culture is the way of life of a people. Their shared beliefs, their values, their customs, their traditions, their language, their art, their social habits, their songs, their food, everything. Culture gives identity to people. It preserves their heritage and also guides their beliefs. It also fosters unity among the people. So culture and tradition play a dominant role in people's lives. And I think it should be appreciated and should also be preserved. Even in the Bible, especially in the Old Testament, you read a lot about the Jewish culture. Many of them, they still preserve and practice. And of course, many they have also dropped. So that's my number one observation and point. Culture cannot be removed. Culture is important. Number two, the dynamism of life. Life is dynamic, which means things keep changing with the changing time. Life is dynamic and it's not static. So culture and tradition must not be static. And I think that is where the problem is coming from. For a people's culture not to go into extinction, like the Yoruba culture and tradition seems to be doing, it must be subject to review. It must be subject to change in line with the current realities. It must be subject to research, review, and improvement. You will agree with me that many aspects of our culture and tradition are shrouded in secrecy, in mysticism, in superstition, and even taboos. Now, especially this authorship enthronement and burial. The modern day man is inquisitive. He has an inquiry mind. He wants to know why things are done. There are so many taboos in our tradition as a people. Many rituals, many practices, some of them very barbaric and outdated. These days, people know about their fundamental human rights and they want to defend it. So it is important. The educated mind is an inquisitive mind. He wants to know why. Now, a woman must not see Oro. No problem, but why? What's the reason behind it? So this aspect of secrecy and lack of transparency must be revisited. These days, communities look for their educated sons. Sometimes they invite them from abroad. We see it all over. We see the Shogun of Ogbomoso. We see the latest one, the Kuba Bayeye, which is a good thing. They want educated mind, civilized, and that should make the tradition of our culture more dynamic. Like I said, the educated mind wants to ask questions and want to know why this is done and why that is not done. So the rituals, especially the evil rituals, like human sacrifice, like when an Oba goes to his ancestors, his head is not buried with him. They want to know why. Even their families will spark. Things are changing. And I think our tradition and our culture must also be subject to change. We have had a lot. When the king dies, somebody must die with the king. Maybe one of the slaves, one of the wives, somebody that will keep serving the Oba on his way to his ancestors. which modern mind can accept that? And I think this is where the white man has overtaken the black man, because things are documented, they are researched, they are reviewed, they are improved upon. Very, very important. We have also heard about castration. The eunuch in the palace are castrated so that they will not touch any of the king's wives. Such barbaric culture, this aspect must be looked into. Number 3, terms and condition. Terms and condition. An authorship candidate should be honest and be man enough to let the kingmakers know the minimum standard, what he can accept and what he cannot accept. Before the enthronement, during the enthronement, and even during his reign, there should be conditions discussed, agreed, and even signed, so that you don't get there and say, well, I didn't know it is this. Finally, let me talk about faith and conscience, because I'm a pastor, like you have said, and I'm a Christian. Issue of faith is very germane to people. Faith is very important. I've spoken about the importance of culture, but one's faith also. So let me speak to the Christians, born again, Christians that we want to aspire. If any child of God or Christian aspires to the stool of his forebears, nothing is wrong. It is position of leadership. In fact, the authorship stool is supposed to be to serve the people, to bring development, to defend their right, and adjudicate in any matter. So it's a leadership position. The Bible says if anybody aspires to the position of a bishop, which means leadership, it's a good thing. And then he gave conditions. But a leader must be this, must be this, must be this. For every opportunity, there are also attached responsibilities. So I think a child of God that is invited to be king, or that aspires to be king, because not everybody can become a king. I can't become a king now. I'm not from the royal line. It is people that are from the royal line that are invited or that aspire to be king. So if a Christian desire that, like I said, is a good thing, but he should be able to put down where the tradition of his people contradict his faith. And like I said, let this be well discussed. Let all the cards be placed on the table, maybe during the interview or when they are trying to search for who should be Oba. And if the tradition, some aspect of the tradition and culture, like the mysticism, like worship of ancestors, and all those secret things, if they are not acceptable to his conscience, he should be able to walk away. The Bible says, what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world, if he becomes the biggest Oba and lose his soul? So for a Christian, a child of God who desire it, you must also know where there is a contradiction between you, where your conscience, where the tradition is offensive to your faith and to your conscience. And if the kingmakers insist that that is what they want and cannot be changed, I advise such a Christian to walk away and live your life. But if you have agreed, if you have been told and you have agreed, like the case of the deceased former Ulu of Wari, many of us will remember, who at a point said he's no longer going to be able to participate in some of the tradition and culture of the people because they are offensive to his faith. You knew the brouhaha that erupted in Wari in those days. Women went out naked, and there was serious acrimony until he eventually received the decision. Of course, it's past now, and his son is there. And I know the son, the current Ulu of Wari, to be a fervent Christian. I'm sure there must have been discussion and agreement before he came home, accepted to be the Olu. I just refer to that. So for a child of God who desires to be enthroned, he must be able to draw a line between the culture, his faith, and his conscience. And like I said, if his conscience and his faith does not agree, and the kingmakers are not shifting base, then he should be able to say, to your house, Israel, to your house, O Israel, and leave their authorship and tradition to them. But I think the overall thing is that life is changing, civilization has come, the culture, if Yoruba culture and tradition will not go into extinction, it must be amenable, it must be available, it must be subject to review, to improvement, so that all the fetish, evil, barbaric things, some of them that I mentioned, should be removed and reviewed so that the Yoruba culture and tradition itself can make progress. If not, we will remain static, and I don't see any young, educated, modern mind that will want to subject himself to those primitive evil practices as we see today. Thank you.
I think the line is breaking. Have you landed, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, the line is breaking.
Thank you very much for that starter, Pastor Femi Emmanuel, wonderful man of God there. Fatokun will be asking almost exactly from Imam or Sheikh, but there have been some messages that said, why don't you do this thing in Yoruba? But don't worry, English is still the mode of communication. But if I get to a point and you find out I want to, express culture, I can just, and if you feel like you can do that. The type of excitement I'm getting here now was when I was on a radio station. I did a program some 6-7 years ago. It's this kind of intellectual clash. We set out on a topic: can man make rain to fall or not to fall? So we arranged on one side some babalawos. They came, about 3 of them, to the studio. Then we arranged the scientific people, 2 professors. I'm sure Professor Buna, who is on the, and it was a very hotly debated topic that even in dry season, the Babalawo say they can make rain to fall. And the scientific people said, well, we are not discounting that, but show us proof. Give us empirical results. Well, that's just by the way. Fatoku.
Okay, thank you very much. That's a very interesting one. Thank you so much, Pastor Femi Emmanuel. And of course, moving on to what we have right here, without taking much of the time, Sheikh Abdul Rahman, we've had the perspective of the pastor in the house. Can we please just hear your perspective too?
Thank you very much.
Can you join this to it too? Sheikh Abdul Rahman, thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
I've had people who say to me, the man that is at the center of the matter, the later Ujala, is a Muslim. Maybe you will understand what was in his heart better. Because a lot of people now saying so much were the man to have been alive. I'm not sure. The Yorubas will say, I quit Grilaye, but what do you think? He has done the right thing or he didn't do well? Then just let's have your initial perspective. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me on this program. I want to join Pastor Emmanuel, who just spoke, in commending you for being bold and forthright in organizing programs like this to enlighten the people and throw light on controversial issues. This is to the benefit of Nigerians. This is in the service of knowledge and information. This is also promoting peaceful coexistence. I thank the KBC for being there and for being bold enough, for being very courageous in allowing a discussion like this without caring how it goes eventually. So thank you very much on behalf of the many Nigerians that are watching or listening to this program. Basically, I want to, in the main, agree with the submission, most of the submission, not all, most of the submission of Pastor Emmanuel. Let me reiterate for the avoidance of doubt that, tonight I represent not culture, not modernity, but Islam. And I do not see essentially a fundamental contradiction between even culture and Islam. Islam is not anti-culture. Islam basically accepts culture and tradition within. This is very important for us to understand. It accepts culture and tradition on its own terms. Islam has a filter through which it, assesses compatibility and compliance to the extent that Islam views cultures as essentially part of human society and human nature. We are cultural, and Islam recognizes that diversity in culture and traditions and the way we do our things. If you look at the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala basically, enumerated these. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, for instance, says the fact that, you speak different languages, which is a subset of our culture. Our languages are different. The mode of expression, it speaks to the, superiority of the human being over the other creatures because we have a very well-developed language. So it's part of our culture, part of a tradition, and Islam accepts it. There is no superior language. All languages are basically accepted. We have different ways of dressing. No Arab will dress the way I dress. My great grandfather dressed exactly like this. So it's part of the culture and the tradition that is not necessarily Arabic. There is no Islamic way of dress, no Islamic way of dressing. There is a mode of dressing that is compatible with Islam. Not, this is the style, of agbada that I wear. It's what my forebears wear. The Arabs don't wear agbada, they wear jalabia. And the Arabs in Saudi Arabia, the Arabs in Kuwait, the Arabs in Sudan, in Oman, wear different jalabia. They dress differently. So, but one thing that is key is that culture is evolving and it is dynamic. The Yoruba culture is dynamic, and any culture that refuses to adapt to changing times will die, will expire. This is the truth. This is not being anti-culture. This is being factual. This is being forthright. There are things there are changes the Yoruba culture has undergone, and people are not, and these are negative changes, by the way. People are not complaining. Respect for elders. The language itself is almost dying out. I agree with the viewer or the listener that has commented, why are we not speaking Yoruba? Why are we speaking English? Well, the moderator has argued that it is because English is our lingua franca. That is acceptable, but it is very weak. It's very weak indeed. We should speak our language. It's dying out. Our children cannot speak the language. They are cut off from the culture. Our dress, in our dress sense, even in places where they are showcasing Yoruba culture, you see dresses that are on Yoruba. All right.
Alternatives.
And so many of these things that are germane to our existence as a cultural people are being eroded. Now we come to the topic, secrecy versus transparency in the burial of Yoruba monarchs, the great battle, and so on and so forth. Well, the topic is couched in journalistic language, a little bit of sensationalism that I don't really agree with. Yes, the culture, so to speak, is that the king does not die. The king joins the ancestors. The Yorubas would not say Obaku. The Yorubas will say Obawaja. All right, and the announcements are not made just like that. Now, this is part of the tradition, part of the custom. But in today's balance, it doesn't make any sense to the average Yoruba child if you say Obawaja. Say, did he drop to the basement or something? That is a danger signal. Now, the core issues are this. The Yoruba land belongs to Yoruba people. The Yoruba people are adherents of different religions, all right? Some of them worship Obatala, some of them worship Oshun, some of them worship Sango, and so on. Different religions, but they have a way of coexisting. I'm not aware of any Yoruba town that insists that anybody that is a Sango worshipper is the only one that is entitled, to be king in that land, and that the Oshun worshippers are not. Your Batala worshippers are not eligible. The only eligibility criteria is that he must, come from the royal family. That is the first one. And next is that he is being nominated by the royal family. And the next is that he is being accepted or is acceptable to the kingmakers. And after that, there are some cities, places in Yoruba land that the Ifa is consulted to finally choose one of the candidates, And even if Ifa chooses one of the candidates, it's still dependent on the ratification by the government of the day, which is a distortion of the Yoruba culture. Nobody has complained. Nobody has fought this. This was not the kingmakers used to have the final say, and today, even when the kingmaker make their choice, it has to be passed to the state government. The state government will have still to, ratify and announce and accept. It is whoever the state government accepts, announces that become the king. After that, there are other criteria, and that is, that the people are down with it. The people accept the candidacy and the choice. There have been cities in Yoruba land. You will have to allow me to make my point, please.
Thank you, Sheikh. Have you landed on that?
No, I have not. That's exactly what I'm saying. Because I was watching the time, Pastor Emmanuel had enough time. Unless you are tired of me.
Okay.
Unless you are tired of me, or there are preferred candidates on this program, please allow me to make my points. Yes. So therefore, I was leading up to making a point. For as long as Yorubas are Muslims, they are Christians, they are traditional worshippers. All right? And there is nothing in Yoruba land that has excluded anybody that is a Muslim or anybody that is a Christian and is a prince from eventually becoming the king. The fact that they are Muslims is indicative of the fact that they have faith, and this faith may differ with the culture and the tradition. In the case of the Awujale, because you specifically mentioned that he has shown this trait since he became Awujale. Of course, you know, he was recalled from London to become the Awujale. And from the onset, from the get-go, he had been having clashes with this on the question of faith. He has written a book. In fact, he sponsored a bill, and there was an act of the Ogun State House of Assembly, which was assented, signed into law by the governor of Ogun State on the right of any any Oba in Ogun State to be buried according to the religious conviction of such monarchs. There had been, opinions, and very strong ones, by Christian Obas and Muslim Obas. The late Awujale even wrote a book, and everybody was there when it was. So finally, I want to make the point, and I agree, and it is very important for us, rather than dividing Yoruba land, what after all is wrong in the way Awujale was buried. It is according to the extant law. That's number one. It is consistent with his, conviction, with his faith, which is, also according to the law. And of course, it is not a denigration of tradition, except the traditionalists are telling us that there are things that others should not see, and if they see it, it will be repugnant. Also, I agree in line with the reviewing with time the culture and tradition and customs of the people. You cannot restrict this modern time. You cannot impose curfew. Only government can impose curfew. Some people should not go out after 10 o'clock until 6 a.m. This is restriction of movement. All this must be reviewed. It is not good for the nation. It is not good for diversity. It is not good for peaceful coexistence. And it is time for us to sit down and agree on this. We don't need to fight. We don't need to war. We can dialogue and understand as a people that are enlightened, as a people that are informed, as a peace, loving people. People cannot always have their way. They can have their say, but the majority will have their way. In this case, the law had its way. The law had the final say on this. That is my preliminary submission on this. I do not agree that people should be screened out on the basis of their religious conviction.
Thank you very much. Well, you have raised very fundamental issues at the point where you spoke about Ifa. But let me say first, we have reached the maximum limit of the Zoom capacity. We can help other people. I understand a lot of people want to come in and they cannot come in. This thing is also on YouTube. Please, engineers, put it on the chat box and you can send it to people. Or alternatively, people can go to the updates part of the channels on WhatsApp. You see Boiling Point Arena. The link is there. Help us to spread it. Very quickly, I come over to the Associate Professor of Indigenous Knowledge System, a Babalawo himself, talking about Professor Obafemi Jegede. I'll be asking of your initial perspective, but fundamentally, Imam mentioned the issue of Ifa, but it's looking like Ifa doesn't speak these days, or it looks like Ifa is something that the operators are the one that determine whether Ifa is speaking the truth or not. Professor Obafemi Jegede, because this one, it looks like Ifa is looking at dollars and looking at millions of naira. What is your perspective? Please put a face to Associate Professor Obafemi Jegede. Let's see your face. Let's move. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for this very, very interesting conversation. I'm particularly enchanted by the contributions of Pastor Femi Emmanuel and the Sheikh. In fact, Pastor Femi Emmanuel, in spite of the fact that he is a Christian and a pastor for that matter, he is so objective and frank. I expect that he would not speak and condemn culture and do stuff like that. I am also much more enchanted by the Sheikh's submission. Thank you so much. Yeah, we should ask some questions, important and interesting questions. Cultural practices, we should ask. How did a people, practice specific culture in a way? How did they arrive at certain cultural practices? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, please?
We can hear you.
Loud,
We can hear
loud
you.
and clear.
Yeah. How did the
We are
people?
hearing you loud and clear.
Yes. How did the people arrive at specific cultural practices? Are they stupid? Are they mad? Is there any wisdom in the evolution of this culture? Is there any wisdom? Is there wisdom? That's the first question. The number two question is what is the purpose? Why is a particular cultural practice done in specific way? The number three question is culture is dynamic. If a culture is dynamic, two things: should it be eliminated? Then should it be replaced? I give an example. Yoruba language is dynamic. That's an answer of culture. And in fact, Pastor Emmanuel, gave a definition of culture, and he mentioned language as an aspect of culture. If Yoruba language is part of our culture, and Yoruba language is dynamic, are we going to eliminate Yoruba language and replace with English language? Is that what it means to say culture is dynamic? These are important questions that we must ask ourselves. And there is no collective stupidity. Our forefathers, they would never be idiotic together to want to kill kings, kill Ababaku, and make things to go to hell, and all those things. I don't think they were. If you go to the ancient wisdom, our forefathers were far wiser than even the contemporary fathers, including modernity. We should ask, what has modernity done for us? Modernity has increased kidnapping, consumerism, all kinds of evil multiply in the land. Modernity just encourages selfishness. What to call barbarism. That's not like barbarism in African culture. Nothing like it. I am a part and parcel of culture in Africa, and I've not seen anything close to barbarism. What I see is truth, love, endurance, and all good things. Then the idea of killing of kings, all those things that people mentioned, I've never seen one about cool phenomenon. I don't know how people get this. I think I can assure you it is the missionaries who cooked these stories so as to get people away from their culture. And because I work with kings, I stay with kings, I learn under kings. I've never seen, in fact, I see humility, I see love, I see concern for the welfare of the people. And then I will ask the question, why are people practicing specific culture? Let me tell you the truth, sir and ma. No culture is practiced to satisfy the king or the chiefs of a place. The interest of the king is faith, is love, is family, is money, is everything. Has no place as far as his office is concerned. It is the equilibrium that is the fundamental, the peace of the community. The kòsíkú kò sàrùn, ẹkún ké bí eku, ẹyẹ ń ké bí ẹyẹ, ọmọ èèyàn fọhùn bí ènìyàn. Láyé onígbọ́n láyé àrẹ̀sà, láyé ọ̀rọ̀kú ilé ìlà, ohun tó ṣe só máa dáa, só máa tùbà, só máa tùṣẹ́. Ohunkóhun tá a máa ṣe o, whatever we could do, that will bring stability, love, peace, no sickness, no crying. Anything we will do to make sure the people have peace, Yoruba will always do it. And so the faith of a king does not matter, because what matters is, will it give people progress? Will it bring food? Will it make rain to fall? Will it make sickness to vanish? It is not about the king. Then the king wants to go to heaven. That's why many kings want to become Christian, Muslim, they want to bury it the Christian way. I say very clearly, there's no heaven that is better than this place we are. This is the best place in all the planets, in all the universes. This place where we are is the best place. I'm also, ayé ìdára púpọ̀, ayé ìdára ibi ìdùn. Ibi ìdùn gan-an ni àwa là ń bàjẹ́ àwa. Tí bí ò bá dùn, why are the angels coming to the earth? Àwọn áńgẹ́lì, ìnífá, àwọn olúmọlẹ̀, àwọn ọ̀sanyì, Ọ̀rúnmìlà, àwọn àyàmí, àwọn Ògún, wọ́n kọ̀ lóde ọ̀run náà, wọ́n sọ di ayé, wọ́n wá ń jayé wá. This world is beautiful. And how do we sustain the beauty of the world? The stability, the love, the progress. Ó là ń sọ sa, ó là ń sọ ma. A sọ nípa ọba kan lọ, ọba kan bọ̀ ni. Ọba kan lọ, ọba kan dé ẹ̀nà o. Kì í ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ ọba yẹn faith yẹ. What are the faith of our God to do with the progress of a community? Then Ìjẹ̀bú land for that matter. Ìjẹ̀bú is ọ̀ṣẹ́ awúrẹ̀là. Àwọn ire ọ̀ṣẹ́ awúrẹ̀là níjẹ̀bú. Ọ̀ṣẹ́ awúrẹ̀là níjẹ̀bú. Ìjẹ̀bú and culture, they are one and the same. There's no way we can separate Ìjẹ̀bú from culture. If all after we deny the culture of his people, if at the point of his death, there are many scores to settle. Thank you.
Well, before you go, there have been many suggestions that they didn't see your face. Maybe the place is dark. Is there a NEPA issue?
He said, yes, NEPA.
It's a NEPA issue. Is it okay? I want to ask you one more question. You are so confident of, the way you talk about Ifa. I even understand that you took Ifa to Germany. Maybe you were on sabbatical from UI. How confidently can you boast about Ifa? And I read a Punch interview where it was said that you are even a pastor. How do you marry both of them together? Is there not a clash? Thank you.
Exactly. That's where the problem is. Modernity, Christianity, and Islam always create clash between tradition and the people. And that shouldn't be the case. If I need Osukun nare, Osakun legbe, ẹlẹ́ṣẹ̀ mìíràn, ẹlẹ́ṣẹ̀ mìíràn, omi abọ́ ọ̀tá ni àwọn àgbà ìjọ ìmọ̀lẹ́ mọ̀ wípé gbẹ̀yìn ọ̀rí òṣùwọ̀n wọ́n fi irun gbàgbà ojú wọ́n fi wàdí akẹ́kẹ́kẹ́ dífá fúnṣẹ̀ ṣe tí solórí ọ̀rọ̀ nígbà rán ǹjẹ́ kí làpá bọ káìtẹ̀ ní bọ̀rìṣà ìṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ làpá bọ káìtẹ̀ ní bọ̀rìṣà orí ẹni ìṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ẹni bàbá ẹni ìṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ẹni ìṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ làpá bọ káìtẹ̀ ní bọ̀rìṣà. A ò lè torí pé kọ́ọ̀tọ̀ kan kìnnìkan ká da omi àmọ̀ ká dáná. Ṣé nígbà tí ọba ìlú òyìnbó kú ṣé wọ́n lè jòkó pé Christian nìkan ṣe o Muslim ni o ní Saudi Arabia ṣé nìkan ṣe lọ sí Saudi Arabia kò pé the king of Saudi Arabia should not be buried in their own way. You can go to Brunei or China. Why is it that Yoruba náà ní tiẹ̀ yàtọ̀ tó pé gbogbo nǹkan wa always fighting tradition always fighting culture there must be a meeting point, sir. Yes, I'm a priest of the church. I believe in Christ. I uphold my salvation, but not at the expense of my culture. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm coming over to Pastor Femi Emmanuel. I'm afraid of my time. We have approximately just 1 hour to go, but let's see what we can really do. Pastor Femi Emmanuel.
Yeah.
2 scriptures are relevant here. In Matthew chapter 15, verse 1 and 2, they were looking at Jesus, the Pharisees. He will eat his hand. He wants to eat. He will not follow the culture and the tradition of the people by first washing his hand. So they came to Jesus and accused him. Why are you, defying the tradition of the elders? And Jesus gave it back to them, and said, why are you, through your tradition, clashing or making into non-effect the commandments of God? That's just one side. In Luke 20:25, where Jesus said, give unto Caesar. Let me say it in Yoruba. Kafionti sheti. Kesari fun Kesari. Kadefionti sheti Ọlọ́run fun Ọlọ́run. What would you say about this? Please help us throw more lights.
Thank you very much, moderator. I just want to start by saying that the time you have here is limited, and we, the discussants, should also be mindful of this. With all due respect to our reverse sheikh, I didn't spend as much time as he spent. And I saw a lot of people leaving the platform. When we monopolize the discussion and the time, a lot of people will be pissed off and they will leave. But we are not fighting here. We are trying to extend the frontier of knowledge and to be realistic with modernity, while not throwing away tradition. Jesus was asked, the Pharisee, the tradition is that you wash your hand and the rest of it. Why are you not? And he was saying to them, which one is more important? Washing the hand or washing your heart? Being true to God and to yourself, or just being hypocritical, hiding under tradition. So it wasn't confrontational. He was trying to bring out a salient proof that, look, while washing of hand may be important, even apart from tradition, maybe health reason and all the rest that we are come to know. But then, if your hand is clean and your heart is dirty, which one is preferable? His point was, please have a clean heart, who shall mount up to the holy place of God. He who has a clean hand, a clean heart, and holy. He was just trying to point out that we should not leave what is important and chase inanities, while not saying washing hand is not important. Then give unto Caesar what is Caesar. A lot of people had misinterpreted that coinage and hide it, order you to do a lot of things that are not even convenient and not even right. This was the occasion of taxation. They were asking Jesus for task. And then the disciples were trying to say, well, we don't work like you have today. Nigeria is even going through that now. Should we tax a clergyman? Should we not? Should we tax mosque and tax, put taxation on churches? You know, that was a row. And that conversation is still on. The common law and the rest of it, in an attempt to say the religious houses or the clergymen who run charity should be able to pay. So it was similar to that. And the disciples were trying to argue that they are the Lord and the Master who came for salvation of humanity, who wasn't working or making profit, did not pay that. But Jesus Christ said, look, go to the Peter, take your hook, go and catch a fish. You will see a coin there, give to them. Let's give unto Caesar what is Caesar and to God what is God. I think he was just saying, peace. Let peace reign. If that is what they are demanding, that tax be paid, then pay them. And this is how to get the money to pay them. A lot of people hide under that to perpetuate all kinds of ungodly practices and say, look, give unto Caesar. If they're asking you to go into sin, an ungodly thing, if that is what they are demanding, give it to them. But that was not the context in which Jesus Christ put that, give unto Caesar what is Caesar. It was around taxation and not anything that has to do with one's conscience, with one's faith, with heaven, and what we believe. I see the professor, how passionate he was while projecting his argument, went into work, almost incantation and all the things that goes with it. But well, I think on issue of religion, we don't have to fight. Live your life. Let me live my life. Let's not have a clash. There's nothing I can do to convert Sheikh, and there's nothing he can do to convert me. But we have all accepted what we believe is our faith, and we are living about. We can always find peace as Nigerians, as Yoruba people, even the professor. We can always find a way to live together, practice what you believe, let me practice what I believe. Of course, there's also the law of the land, there's also the legislation, there's also the government. I think this is where Yoruba people are known as Omoluabi, so we can cohabit, live together in peace without, we should just know where we connect, where we differ, manage our differences, and still have a peaceful society and live our life in peace to serve our God the way we believe. And of course, none of us are gone to heaven. I mean, somebody said the angels came and visited here and there. Well, we stick to our belief, and everyone of us believe that the way we have chosen is the way. Many of us are what we are by what we got from our parents. If I was born by Alfas and Alagis, a Muslim home, I'll probably be a Muslim. And of course, Sheikh too will probably be a Christian if he was reared up that way. But whichever way, there should be peace, which is what Jesus was advocating here. Let there be peace. It is when we have peace that we can make progress, that we can even practice our religion and serve our God. In the midst of crisis, we can't even serve the God. We can't raise our family. We can't have progress. So the bottom line is do what gives you peace and gives you rest. Let me do what gives me peace and give me rest. But in the society, let's live our life that we still love ourselves. Some of my best friends are Muslims. Some of my colleagues are Muslims. And we do things together. Of course, our practices, this part of the country is peaceful. Hardly do you see a family where you don't see the two living together, unlike what you have somewhere else. So it is in that context that Jesus made the two statements. And I want to stop there.
Thank you very much. Maybe there's a rider there. It's appearing that there's a consensus, between you and the Ifa man. It seems, it seems that what he's saying, I don't know whether you want to agree with Professor Jegede, that it's possible to be a good Christian and still be, an Ifa worshiper. I want to just get a clear line of thought there.
Well, I have an exemption to that. Only thing about your shaka, could your shaka, about your shoko, could your shoko. I don't know what is contained in Ifa worship and way of life. And I am not here to condemn anybody. I'm trying to make sure we are not condemning anybody. But you can't wear the two caps. It's like people asking me everywhere I go, you are a successful politician. You are a deputy speaker of a state. Your profile was rising. And then this call to be a pastor came. Why don't you be a pastor and still pursue your political aspiration? In fact, at the time, I went into full-time pastoring. I was returned unopposed to go to the federal house. But I knew I can't put two caps on the same head. There will be contradiction. Even the people I pastor will misunderstand me because of all that goes on in politics. So I don't see how I can put on two caps as an Ifa adherent and worshiper and mount my pulpit and preach the Bible. But if it does not offend him and the people he's ministering to, who am I to say he's wrong? But my own take is that you can't, the Bible says, no man can serve two masters. So I see serving two masters in that setting. Because when you take your Bible and you are preaching the scripture, and then you say, well, I can still be a pastor and be a father. Well, like I said, I condemn nobody, judge nobody. The Bible says we are not the judge over anybody. But for me, I don't see the two go together, just like the illustration of the politics and the pastoral that I say. I mean, politicians are supposed to serve the people. They are supposed to use the resources to create the welfare of the people. The pastor is also about the spiritual welfare of the people. And the two can go side by side without contradiction. So I don't see how I would do that. And I don't also think that is scriptural. But if that is what Prof believes and is practicing, who am I to judge? Who am I to condemn him?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pastor Femi Emmanuel. Of course, I would want us to I'll kick off from where you stopped, sir. And I'm glad that every single guest actually kicked off on a unifying note. As much as we cannot speak Yoruba all through, I'd still like to reference our people. And like we normally say, Totoshi, Bio Wagba. There's this saying that Ojo Ocho Yefu Life Arakanra, meaning that the sky is enough for birds to fly without affecting one another. Looking at this perspective, I'll come to the Sheikh on this one. That's Sheikh Abdurrahman. In culture, we have Wazubia. That's for the main cultures that we have. That's for the Igbo, Yoruba, and Hausa. We have that unifying ground to some extent, to a reasonable extent. Is it not possible for us to have something like that for religion? As much as we're saying, okay, we have these differences, we have those differences, can we not have a unifying ground for these three cultures? Let's get your thoughts on this, Sheikh. Your mic is muted, by the way.
Please help unmute Sheikh.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Loud and
Okay.
Please go ahead.
You're allowed.
Okay. Yes. We'll always have differences of opinion, of perspectives. That's what the Quran says. human beings will not cease from disagreeing when they are not disagreeable. We cannot have a unifying religion. The question of language is different from the question of faith. And by the way, is it even necessary for us to have a single language? If Allah had willed, if our Creator had willed, He would have made us one single community. People would differ. There will always be Christians. Pastor Emmanuel said, there is no way I can convert him. Yes, we never know what God cannot do does not exist. I'd like to have you in the masjid one of these days in our mosque, and who knows what can happen. But that's on the lighter side. It is not necessary. It is not desirable for us to have one single religion. And there had been an attempt by states to impose a single religion. It failed. It will continue to fail. This is not what is going to unite us. We must tolerate one another. We must understand one another. We must accept and, accommodate one another. Let me tell you, Islam, grew in an environment of diversity. There were so many religions. There were Jews, there were Christians, there were Zoroastrians, there were the equivalent of what we call the idol worship, worshippers. This was the context that gave birth to Islam. And that is why a whole surah was revealed in the Quran. قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ لَا أَعْبُدُ مَا تَعْبُدُونَ وَلَا أَنْتُمْ عَابِدُونَ مَا أَعْبُدُ وَلَا أَنَا عَابِدٌ مَا عَبَدتُّمْ وَلَا أَنْتُمْ عَابِدُونَ مَا أَعْبُدُ لَكُمْ دِينُكُمْ وَلِيَ دِينِ. Meaning is, Allah instructed our Prophet ﷺ, tell those who do not believe, I will not worship that which you worship, neither will you worship that which I worship. All right? You will not worship what I worship. I will not worship what I worship. For you, your religion, for me, my religion. Lakum dinukum waliyadin. Within, the diverse understanding and, adherence of different religion, we can find humanity. We can tolerate one another. Nobody can legislate particular religion out of existence. And, for us to continue to coexist, we must not only tolerate, you must go beyond tolerating one another, we must accommodate one another. This is where the wisdom is. This is where the future is. There are, two elements that we must look at. There are things that are changeable over time. Like the prof said, it's dynamic. Does dynamism means that we jettison? Should we abandon Yoruba language because culture is dynamic? No, we should not. But you see, the vocabulary, the Yoruba vocabulary is ever growing and is ever changing. Unless it is not a living language, there will always be new inputs. Should we jettison our culture because culture is evolving? No, we should not. And it is not necessary. But we must adopt new means to make it easier, to make it simpler, to make it more transparent, to make it acceptable. And we cannot force anything on anyone. I want to emphasize in closing that for us to have a peaceful and, harmonious Yoruba land, we must continue to allow individual convictions that does not harm the society in any way. What is the harm that the right of a king to be buried according to his religious conviction? What harm does it do to society? What harm does it do to the community? This is not what is important. What is important is what the king, brings to the table. In these days, kings have been reduced to, ceremonial status. This we must fight. All of us must make concerted effort to fight to ensure that the kings have more important role. They are being denigrated. The law is that a local government chairman can remove a king, a paramount king at that. These are things that we must fight. In England, even though the king is not, formally in government, he inaugurates every prime minister. He signs into law, and so on and so forth. These are the glories that we must return. And this is what is important, not to start to fight of things that have no impact, on the lives of the people, and that will set people one against the other. There is virtually no royal family in Yoruba land that has no Muslims or Christians. Do you legislate those who are Muslims and bar them, from, becoming kings, or accommodate them? Let us weigh this and see which one will serve us better. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much for your response to that. I'll come to Dr. Jegede on this particular one. There's been a story that actually was going viral some time ago. I'll pick from the words of the Sheikh. Yes, can you hear me, please? Hello, doctor, can you hear us?
Hello?
Is there?
Okay, yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. Okay, so I'll come to Dr. Jegede on this particular one. I'll pick from what the Sheikh has said, talking about accommodating each other.
Hello?
There's a story that went viral for some time, and it's, talking about this particular story about the masquerade who attacked an imam, a masquerade that flogged an imam. What will be your response to this? I mean, what will be your response to this, Dr. Jegede? I mean, this particular story happened. Should we go? And there's been, okay, is that Dr. Jegede?
Yeah, that's it.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
can you hear us? Okay, can you hear us now, please?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. I was talking about a story that went viral, talking about a masquerade attacking an Ondo imam. And of course, I'm also going to mention this aspect of Ololu, where women have to. Okay, can you hear us?
I can hear
okay.
you clearly.
Okay, thank you. And Ololu, where women have to actually go in. This particular masquerade, women will have to go into their rooms. They don't get to see this particular masquerade. And the issue of that Ondo, that masquerade attacking an imam in Ondo, what would be your response to this? Talking about accommodating people, talking about different, statutes in different religions. What would be your response to these particular, cultural observations that might impede on the rights of other citizens? Let's get your thoughts on this, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me respond by saying that culture, tradition might be categorized within the spectrum of religion. The idea of religion does not exist.
Oh, use your discretion.
The idea of religion
something to allow.
What you thank God. Are you hearing me? Can you hear me?
Very, very clear now. We can see who the prof is. Please go on. Please go on, sir. Okay. I think Dr. Jegede is okay. Are you back?
Lexicon. That's to yes, sir. So religion does not exist. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yes, I think we can hear you now.
Okay, please. Yeah, I said the idea of religion does not exist in the Yoruba lexicon at all. What happened? What we have here is a way of life. What we do, our food, the way we make kings, the way we dethrone king, the way we bury king, the way we eat food. For example, the God. There's no God in Yoruba lexicon. Or alone we have Orisha. Some God Ṣàngó òun ló bí àmàlà ẹni tó ti ń jẹ àmàlà ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ kiri ó ń bọ Ṣàngó Fọsọfẹ́mi Emmanuel ẹlẹ́gbàá fagbọ́ ẹni tó bá sọ Yorùbá èdè Yorùbá Ifá ló sọ Ifá tó fi kọ̀wé Ifá náà nìyẹn onífá níbẹ̀ ní agbẹ́dẹ́gbẹ́yọ̀ so there is no way you can escape tradition no matter how religious you are. Then ẹni tó bá ti ń jẹ iyán Ọbàtálá ló ń bọ ẹni tó bá ti ń mọ́mí Ọ̀ṣun ló ń bọ Ọ̀ṣun ẹni tó you have to stop those things for you to go to heaven and be a good Christian. So also a king must be buried in the way of his forefathers. Now about you see, the egungun that removes the cap of somebody. Let me tell you the truth. The reason is not the egungun per se. It is the fact that this established tradition of the people is not properly regulated. It is not guided by any law in the land. There is no policy around it. So whoever can do such a thing can behave anyhow. So we will blame the person, but we will blame the fact that it is not regulated. What is not properly regulated can be malhandled. It can be mishandled. That's my point on that. The idea of Ololu who do not see woman. Before the Christianity and Islam came to Nigeria, Yoruba land, that has been the law. It was the law. If it must change, it must change with a meeting. I'm not saying it cannot change or should not change. There must be a dialogue around it. Maybe Christian, Muslim government, and they now come into a kind of truce. Because should woman or women not see Ololu? If the reason is that there will be peace, there will be rain, there will be food in the land, it is good that they don't a small sacrifice so as to give peace to the land. It's not bad at all. But if there's a way around it, if there's a way by which that such thing can be dealt with, then we deal with it amicably. Well, let us not just condemn a is only because it is traditional. The reason why it looks like people's fundamental human rights is because this was how a people thought. And to move them away from that thought pattern, it's not by war, it's by dialogue, it's by negotiation. It's not by making law. The law must also evolve, just as culture also evolves. That is my take, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Come and see how time has been flying. And there are still many issues here. I'm coming over to Pastor Femi Emmanuel. But from the messages I have got here, it is likely that we extend the time maybe by 15 minutes or, the moment we get the concurrence of our radio partners, maybe we'll be able to, but it's very likely. But the way we will do it to break monotony, we will come back to the audience after this round of questions, then they can come again. The messages that are here, almost 90 messages, there's no way we can read all of them. If you have questions, we'll first pick from radio listeners, then for those on Zoom, you raise up your hand and signal, and we will do justice to that. Now, over to Pastor Femi Emmanuel. I want us to speak about Awujale. We are not personalizing it. Awujale was one of the greatest kings in Nigeria who ever ruled. That's the kind of image that the man had. I'm trying to spiritualize this thing. The Bible says, I like to quote so that we can. It says, it is written that for a man to die once, and after that, not burial, but judgment. When a man leave this earth. The Yorubas will say, tí ènìyàn kan bá jáde kúrò láyé, ó ti kúrò láyé ni. Ohun tó kù síbẹ̀, ó ti di kòròfo. Ṣé ọ̀rọ̀ kòròfo tó jẹ́ wípé gbogbo wa la ṣì máa, kò sẹ́ni tí ò ní kù. Ṣé ìyẹn la dẹ̀ wá yẹ kí agbébí? To what extent should Nigerians, the Ijebus, the Yorubas, and Nigerians generally value the corpse such that it is creating a lot of schism now? What do you think, sir?
Thank you very much, moderator. I want to start by saying, generally tonight, we all seem to agree that culture is not a bad thing. In fact, you can't take away culture from people. Like I said the other time, a people without a culture is a lost race. So I want to give an advice. I can see Prof very deep in the Yoruba culture. I'm very passionate about it. I made reference to it the other time, and I think he also seemed to landed on that as he was closing. If the Yoruba culture, which we all believe and accept that is central, is important in our way of living, if it will not go into extinction or be seriously reduced in its importance with the evolving knowledge, civilization, and education, there is need for a discussion. There is need for bringing some key intellectuals together, Yoruba extraction, and see how will this culture not go into extinction. Because there are a lot of mysticism, a lot of superstition around it, and I can see some of it coming out from what Prof was saying today. I think we all cherish our culture. You will see me always in Yoruba dress. For years now, you haven't seen me in tie and jacket because I am protesting. That why must we eat the food we don't grow, wear clothes we don't sew, use products we don't produce, and we are asking our economy to develop? And I have said that to my fellow believers, my fellow clergymen, what is wrong in bishop and archbishop using Ankara to sew whatever costume they want to wear? I have been like this for years, and I have ministered in and out of this country like this, proud of our culture, proud of our language, proud of our dressing. Now, if Yoruba culture will not... Yes.
Sorry, Pastor, sir.
Yes.
I hope it also includes the cars that you drive. You drive Nigerian cars.
No, because we don't produce car here. Now, I'm talking about the basic things we are able to produce. We have not started manufacturing car. We only assemble some parts. But I'm just saying, the things that we are able to produce, why don't we be proud of it and use it? When it comes to car, we should also do that. I'm just varying a little bit to how important it is to uphold the good, positive, and beneficial aspects of our culture and language, like our food, like our dressing and the rest of it. So I think there should be a dialogue. There should be a discussion to make sure that those things that are not beneficial are removed. Because if we keep insisting that that's how we met it with our fathers, it cannot change, I tell you, Yoruba culture will go to the background because no educated mind, no scientific mind will go. Sometimes I say to myself, I was born and I grew up in Ota, where Egungun and Oro and all the rest of it, Egungun was very... What is wrong in Egungun? All of us gathered at the city square, and Egungun performed their cultural dances. Egungun attacking an imam. Why should that? What should bring that about? Why should Egungun be roaming the town, harassing people and beating people? Is that part of the culture? So I think such discussions are necessary. Why would Egungun gather at the city square, put on their costume, And when they finish dancing and performing, remove the costume, put it in a bag and go. And let's uphold that entertainment rather than the mysticism about it. All of us know that because so why do we then do those things? I mean, except we want to deceive ourselves. It is appointed unto man wants to die. He just said that. He didn't say, I said to people, Iyabode, Babatunde, I think also Rawani. Kò sí bàbá kankan tó dé, kò sí ìyá kankan tó dé, ẹni bá kú ti lọ. It is when we are here, like we are all agreeing now, that we should do our best to add value to humanity, to make our impact, to make this life better than we met it, to be godly, to be fair, to be accommodating, to be loving. That is all. Look, it is the value we leave behind. We just spoke about Awujale now. Awujale, everybody knew Awujale to be a courageous man, to be an incorruptible man. I remember all the shenanigans of the politics and the politicians of those years where Awujale refused to take money, refused to be corrupted. Religion or no religion, Omoluabini. And of course, that history is there. That this is a man, a no-nonsense man, a non-compromising man, a courageous man, a bold man that ruled his people for years, since 1960 till now. So, and I think that's a better story to tell. Then, to what extent should we begin to fight over a dead corpse? Now, there's one thing I say, and I believe, it is when our parents are alive that we should do our best to let them enjoy the fruit of their labor over us. It is not when they die, only the carcass we are celebrating and wasting money. We live a very prodigal life. It is said that when a Yoruba man is asking for help, capital, money for investment, nobody will give him. But if he's asking for money to bury his parents, dead parents, he will find a lot of people giving him money on which he will pay interest later. We are very prodigal. So I don't see us fighting over corpses. In Christianity, in my own belief, a man that is dead is gone. And the legacy he left behind, the lives he touched, the changes he brought, is what speaks about him. And of course, the children should uphold his legacy if he lived the right life. In Christianity, we don't fight over corpses. We don't fight over a person that is dead. Whoever is dead is gone. I know that may be different in the fast setting. It may be different in the other religion, but we don't believe that a person that is dead is hanging somewhere in the sky or in the air and I know in our mysticism, we say they are still looking at us, they are guiding us, they are protecting us. Well, that's not in the Bible, and that's not my belief. Our belief is that it is appointed unto man once to die, and when you die, the Bible says the body shall come back to dust from where it came. The spirit, we are essentially a spirit. We have a soul and we live in the body. The spirit will go back to God that gave it in the first instance. And of course, judgment is waiting depending on what type of life he lived here. So this belief of fighting over the dead body, to me, is not scriptural. It doesn't add anything to the man that is dead. It doesn't even add anything to the living. Why should we fight over that? That's my belief and that's my contribution.
Thank you very much, Pastor Femi Emmanuel. And coming to the Sheikh on this particular one. Now, talking about the major topic we are discussing today about the late Awujale. For the traditionalists to perform their rites, they said some certain things have to be done. But the Muslims said it is impossible to get this done. If there are consequences at the end of the day, just as for one, because I want to believe that there are some rites performed before he was enthroned, and he wasn't stopped from performing those rites. Why are they stopping that right now? That's number one. Number two, if there are consequences, who will bear the brunt of these consequences? Let's get your thoughts, please.
Well, thank you very much. I am not a traditionalist. I'm a Muslim, so I don't know, and I'm sure many Yorubas, many Nigerians don't know what rites they want to perform on the deceased king, as the case may be. I don't also know why these rights are not transparent, and I don't know what the grouse is about when someone who lived as a Muslim, who died as a Muslim, who had made it abundantly clear that he wants to be buried when he died as a Muslim, and nobody opposed, even if there were opposition. A law was eventually promulgated and signed, you know, uh, and was professor was saying the last time that it is not law, it is discussion. I know we all know the process of making laws. There were public hearings, there were presentations, and it was presented to a diverse assembly where there were Muslims, or there were Christians, where there were traditionalists, where there were people who do not even profess any religion. Eventually, a bill was passed into law and was assented to by the governor. So, what is the grouse? That is my first intervention. Next is, I think there are important points that relate to the preservation of the Yoruba culture that should concern us, and not this issue of, why do you bury a king, a deceased king, in a transparent manner where everyone saw what happened? Why didn't you allow? What exactly is it? And we should be very, 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 very careful. We should be very, very careful. I also, subscribe to the fact that if these issues are very important, let us have a conference, a dialogue, not to argue, but to come to a consensus, to make concessions to one another, to make compromises, which in is to the best interest of the institution and in the best interest of our various communities. We must be aware that debates like this inflame passion, and it may be convenient for some to blend, traditional worship with their faith, maybe Christianity or even Islam, as the case may be. But that is their choice. It is not the standard for those who want to, be pure and be faithful to their faith. They have a right. They have a constitutional right to freedom of religion, freedom of thought and conscience, freedom to hold belief, to manifest the same, freedom to associate. And this is what is, I don't see this debate as anything useful. I don't see how it impacts that aspect of beautiful Yoruba culture, the revival of the language, the revival of values, core values of the Yoruba people, the norms of the Yoruba people that promote bravery, truthfulness, development, industry, and these are the things that we should be emphasizing at this point in time. And we are diverting attention, as far as I'm concerned, from what is important. And again, I want to conclude by saying I do not see the clash of religion. I don't see a battle, like the topic of this uh, discourse has said. There is no battle. I am a Muslim. I'm not entering into a battle with anybody on the burial of Aujale. Aujale is dead. May Allah forgive his shortcomings and admit him into Jannah. He's gone. We are the ones that are alive. We must look at what we can do to improve our lot, how we can ensure that people are true to their faith, people are true to their conviction, because I believe there is no religion that preaches kidnapping, 419, embezzlement, violence, and all these. These are the values that we must emphasize. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You made very, very valid point. When you were talking about maybe the narrative, Sheikh is a media scholar, and we are in the media together. It's newsworthy. I will go over to Professor Jegede. 2 questions, then hands will be raised up so that we can take questions. If you are on Zoom, there are the phone numbers have been put there. You want to use a landline, you can you see it through the chat box. Let me go to Professor Jegede. If you happen to see Awujale, because I know that maybe it's possible you believe in the unseen world too, what would you tell him? Would you express anger? That's just one side of it. Another one is this. You're a professor of traditional medicine, and you and I know that there is potency in some of our natural herbs. There are trees, medicinal herb trees. But the issue of incantation, what do we do with it? In China, is that the way? I mean, how can we maintain a balance? Not Isaiah now. Ezekiah was sick, the king, unto death. He had boil all over him, and he thought he was going to die. Then God sent his servant Isaiah, go and tell him, cut some herbs. And that was what they used. But where is this balancing the incantations come from? Thank you. Let's make it a quick one so that we go to the floor.
Thank you so much. If Yoruba, Oba does not die at all. Oba Jani. In fact, Yoruba, the word dead, nobody dies in Yoruba land. Yoruba people don't die. Iku and death, they are not the same at all. At all. So the people, Papalawo, was so soon. Oba, people have different names. So Awujale is just in the ceiling, overseeing again what is going on. If I see him, I will ask him, why was he afraid? What was the cause of his fear? He didn't have to have any fear for any reason. He has served his people. He has served his people meritoriously. He was supposed to allow his people to take him to the other end, to the right place, instead of being misled. So I would just address him that way. About the incantations and stuff like that. In fact, my PhD was on incantation. Interesting. That was my PhD thesis. I tell you the truth, incantation is just expression, it's just law. It's just law. It's law, any. It means for all for saying a snail has no knife, yet he has mark at his back all over. That's not a sin now. It's just science. Incantation is an expression of the science of a people, and it is nothing. That's not connection with religion. We call it offer. Like I want you to achieve a goal. It's like expressing your mind to achieve a goal. I want to know fools and that. èmi lọ́fọ̀ rí fọ́ kò dé lọ́fọ̀ tí ẹ̀jẹ̀ àfi dá ẹ̀jẹ̀ bá ń dà dáadáa bá ní bẹ́sẹ̀ kọ́ wa àwọn bàbá wa ló kọ́ wa bẹ́ẹ̀ and to show how wise how great our forefathers were. I think we should just continue to appreciate these great people. If you know Ifa and you know the story of our great fathers, you will appreciate them. Àwọn èèyàn ńlá ni wọ́n o. Àwọn olùkọ́ the language are speaking, the clothes we are wearing, the food we are eating, the house we are living, the family being are completed by our forefathers. So we must appreciate them. Thank you, sir.
Are you not worried, Prof, that Yoruba land has become a dungeon of money ritualism? You see young people, 20, 21, they are riding Lexus, all manner of jeeps, through using maybe the blood of people. This part of fetishism. Well, what do you say about it?
Thank you, sir. This is a terribly different aspect entirely. It is not part of tradition. Completely away from tradition. I have been studying Yoruba culture for almost 30 years. Most people read some personal investigations. I work money for now. The same fear you are expressing now, I used to express it. I had the same mind. In fact, the first time I was going to visit Babalawo, I thought they would kill me there. I just boldly, because I wanted my data, I had to enter the Ifa house. Nothing happened. What happened in Ifa is a school. It's a place where people exchange knowledge, not more. Yoruba people, for that matter, Yoruba people, Yoruba person, imagine a Yoruba people who will now legitimize and legalize and culturalize and traditionalize. I mean, killing of human being for money, it is not part of our tradition. It is sorcery. It is alien. It comes from other end. It's completely away from it. The tradition is because it's tradition, which means handed over. Somebody hand over such evil. I mean, from generation to generation, it is not part of us, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Just before I let you go, for some of us who are uninitiated, can you describe, you speak like Ifa is an object that we can see. Can you just bring us into it? What does it look like?
Yeah. So what Ifa means, I friend, I, which means you bring everything into one place to enable easy access, easy understanding. So you don't have to go too far. Ifa kafa nkan pọ̀, kafa jọ sójú kan náà, so that I lè access see. So you don't have to travel too far to get everything done. That's the meaning of Ifa. And then when we learn Ifa is a kind of university, a knowledge system among Yoruba. It is an epistemological, issue. It's a knowledge, it's a way of knowing. So when you go for divination, you go for education. The word divination means research.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. We now have to just go for flow interaction. I think you should reel out the number, the studio number to call.
Yes, the phone line is right here. Just in case you want to join the conversation, it's 09060 992609 09060992609. And alternatively, you can call us on 070-4100-7949.
Thank you. We have a call. Okay. All right, we have a call. Hello. A very good evening to you. You're on to Boiling Point Arena. Please make it quick. Can you please make it louder, please? Let me tell him, they are not hearing.
I want to small 50 years ago. We are hearing the people kidnapping children, using so blood soap to cut them and put them in the pump. Use them for money ritual. It was the people from other regions, they are people that brought this into Nigeria. That's the plan. If you can find in the area of Ijebu today, they will tell you that are cried inside them. And we cannot get access today. So it has nothing to do with this culture. It has nothing to do with Christianity. It has nothing to do with Islam. That is just from other people. Islamic religion as well. So that is just the contribution.
Thank you very much. We have another call?
Yes, thank you very much. Just to reiterate the phone lines to call 09060992609 or 07041007949. Yes, we've talked about quite a number of things, and of course our guests are giving their responses. Let's get your thoughts concerning this.
Okay, we have another call. Meanwhile, on Zoom, please, let's have a raising up of hand. Hello.
You're welcome. What's your name and where are you calling us from, please? Nice to have you. Let's have your thoughts, please.
Away from me. You can't take glory from religion and try to take that from somewhere else. So please, you tell them, all those hypocrites, you allow those people that want to take up an office, you swear and oath. If they cannot abide by tradition, stay away from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. Let's see if we can.
Let's go to Zoom quickly. Let's take the hands one by one. I can't see anything on my screen. Please unmute the first hand there. If we have a call, bring it on.
Okay, good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Good evening. Can you be more louder?
Okay, can you hear me, sir? Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes. We can hear you loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, sir. My name is Okewudu Asheun, and I want to appreciate all the speakers, professors, and Sheikh and Pastor Emmanuel. Thank you so much. And for some weeks, for almost a week, this thing came up on our community platform, and that is why this topic is very, very timely. And I want to appreciate the people in charge of this program. I have issues with the topic entirely. Apology to the people. Now we say
bring it on.
Okay, the issue that I have with the topic, I will start by that, is that we are saying secrecy and transparency. Now, we know what secrecy is all about. Now, we are trying to attribute secrecy to let me say tradition. So we believe that whatsoever that is traditional is secrecy, and why Christians and Muslims, what they perform are transparent. I don't want to agree with this. So instead of using the word secrecy, I will prefer the word sacred. So if we had used the word sacred, I think it will be more acceptable because we are talking about interreligious topic. So we have Christians, we have Muslims, we have the traditionalists here. So using the word secrecy, in fact, I don't want to go with it. Whatsoever we are doing, that the traditionalists are doing, is not secret. It should be sacred. The reason why, okay, so let us correct that. It is not secret.
Thank you.
So
thank you very much.
That is number one.
I think it's a matter of opinion. Oh, you still have a question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Very, very quickly, please.
Okay, then another question is this, sir. If we are saying that we should accept a personal religion, maybe a Muslim or a Christian is coming to the throne, are we saying that what about the implication on the community entirely? Are we saying we will not be selfish and self-centered because of one person's faith and then ignore the tradition of a whole community? Are we not going to be self-centered? Are we not going to be selfish in that aspect? So these are my questions because of our time.
Thank you very much. Let's go over to Remiladi Bolu. Please unmute Remiladi Bolu. At the moment we have a call, we also bring a call. Remiladi Bolu.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yes, I'm on.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You have the floor.
Okay, thank you. 3 quick points. Yeah. One, I wrote an article recently where I argued that traditional rulers should be called natural rulers because it's not their tradition that entitles them to the throne. It is their lineage. It is because they are princes of the royal family. So they are natural rulers. So maybe that will also help us address this issue of tying traditional rulers or natural rulers to a particular tradition. That's one. Then two, when Professor Jagere said Awujale, the late Awujale, should have allowed his people to bury him the way they desire. Who are his people? I believe today there are more, I may be wrong, there are more Muslims and Christians in Ijebu who are Awujale's people. So which people should have been allowed to bury him the way they want? I don't understand. Is it saying the traditionalists are the only people Awujale ruled over? That's two. Then number three, Professor Jagede mentioned something like the Abo Baku story, that it's a myth created by the missionaries to demonize the traditional religion. I beg to disagree with him because my own father, who is a prince, Archbishop Ayoladibulu, lived in the palace at the time of the death of Alaafin Obola Aladibulu, who is his grandfather. And he witnessed all the events surrounding the Abo Baku story. And he has given several interviews detailing the events, including the roles played by all the key individuals, including Ross, who was the resident in Oyo at the time. So that story is not a myth. It was something that happened and properly documented in history. And so these are some of the barbaric aspects of the Yoruba tradition that modernity, don't let me say Christianity or Islam, has helped us to eliminate. So there is really need to allow Yoruba culture to evolve to a point where it is acceptable to everybody and not make it an exclusive thing to a certain category of people. Thank you.
Okay. Please unmute Dr. Gbenga Ajugu. We have a call? Okay. Dr. Gbenga Ajugu.
Good evening, everyone.
Please speak up.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
I'm barely hearing you.
Okay, why will I wait the person to be unmuted or to
Hello?
speak? We have a call.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, please, let's, whichever. Be fast, please.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Welcome to Boiling Point Arena.
My name is Dr. Benga Ajigu. I have a question. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, very clear.
Good. I have a question for Prof. Because we in Yoruba land, we believe the gods are wise. In choosing any king, the gods are always consulted. We consult Ifa in order to choose our kings. After choosing these kings, we believe the kings, after being chosen because of the wisdom of the fathers, the kings, their reign and everything will still be under the supervision of the gods. Now, my question is, why is it that when kings are enthroned from different religious backgrounds, like the one we have in Ogbomoso is a Christian, the late Aujale, may God forgive his shortcomings, was a Muslim. And at the end of the day, even the law now states that kings should be allowed to determine when they are going to be buried and how they are going to be buried. The question is, are the gods not wise enough to see what's coming in the future? Because when things we do not understand, we consult the gods. The gods give us these people, and at the end of the day, they decide what they want to do. Are the gods not foreseeing this? Please, I want the prof to look at this. Thank you very much.
Okay, we come in that order. Prof, very quickly, just take that one on. I will appreciate if you can make it very fast. In the absence of that, and I think the question can be really taken by anybody. Yes, any of our guests can take on. We have a call meanwhile. Okay, hello. Welcome to Boiling Point Arena. Your name? Your name? Thank you so much. All right. Let's begin to wrap up our thoughts. I think we can take it from, and anyone should please feel free so that KBSC will later come and wrap up this session. I can see Pastor Femi Emmanuel trying to talk.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I think that's part of what we have said. Like the last caller, couldn't the gods preempted, couldn't they see ahead? I think it was actually short of saying if they were really there, shouldn't they see it? I think it's a part of the mysticism that we are saying there should be a conference, there should be a discussion. If we keep emphasizing that there are gods, there are they died, they didn't go, they are in the ceiling, we will be doing injustice to Yoruba culture. Because like I said, you can't force me to believe what you believe. I can only take what you say. If you have facts, if it is sensible to me, if there are empirical facts, if we can analyze it. But whatever is shrouded in secrecy, like we have said today, no transparency. Now, look at I grew up to see the Ogboni fraternities are very, very strong in this land. In those days, if you don't belong to any of the fraternities, you are not a man, be it in the judiciary, in politics, even to so many other institutions. But what do you see today? It's almost dying away. Why? Because of the secrecy. What cannot be documented, what cannot be reviewed, what cannot be improved upon, we naturally die. I think we have all said that. And we are all saying this because of the love we have for the Yoruba culture and our tradition. I don't want our culture and tradition to die. For instance, I got my children to speak my language. And I have seen many Nigerians that will even be angry that their children are speaking Yoruba. They want them to say, speak English. So these are some of the things we think should be reviewed so that the culture will remain. But if we keep insisting that the way our traditional parents, how many of us want to live and die like our parents? How many of us want to live the life they live, the houses they live, the understanding they have? How many of us haven't gone beyond their understanding? So I think at the end of the day, we should really be realistic and call a spade and not an agricultural implement. That's my contribution to the last caller, as he's saying, Prof should tell us, why couldn't the gods that select kings? And they're talking about this king too. I think I have a word for them. I have been in the legislature. I've been the legislator. I think the king, somebody has said, the king has put themselves even as low as the local government chairman. As great as those kings you talk about, the Oni of Ife, the Showon and the Ikuba, by constitution, they have to take permission from the local government chairman, who should be their son and their subject. Why? They put themselves into that setting by agitating that government should pay them. And the same thing is playing out now. You can see the Sultan and the Oni of Ife arguing, we want to be institutional, I want to be in the constitution. He who pays the piper dictates the tune. So by the time the government and constitution made it possible for the kings, the monarchs, to be paid from the local government purse, then they come under them. So I'm just sounding that because many of us are wondering, why should it be so? They played into the hands of the politicians by wanting to take part of the largesse. If you pay me, if I pay you, I have the right to dictate some things. I have the right to give you conditions. And that's why we pastors, and I think the imams too, we never advocate that government should be paying us. If they pay you, they will give you the sermon to preach.
Thank you. Let's go to Imam very quickly. Thank you.
Yeah, just simply, I think we are just worrying over issues that are not very consequential. What is the position of kingship in Yoruba land? We should look at aspects of our core values, which defines Yoruba people as a people. Very hardworking, very forthright, respect for elders, respect for constituted authority, diligence, hardworking. These are aspects that uplift a people, a community, and a nation. It is not how they bury their dead that will uplift them. The burial of the dead is to ensure that the body doesn't go to waste and it doesn't become an epidemic. That's number one. Number two, it is important that our dialogue must be focused around issues of mutual accommodation, not tolerance. The Yoruba race is not monolithic. It is not monolithic in terms of its religion. The earlier we accept and accommodate the fact that there are Yoruba Christians, Their being Christians does not affect their Yoruba-ness. There are Yoruba Muslims. Their being Muslim does not affect their Yoruba-ness. You know, we must build an inclusive system, and we must go away from conversations that tend to exclude and conversations that sticks to divide the people and set one against the other. This is my message. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sheikh. Very quickly, let's have the roundup comment from Professor Jegede.
Yeah, thank you very much.
After which we'll back to the Olu.
Yes, I didn't mean that there was no Babaku in the ancient time. I didn't mean that at all. I wasn't a witness, so I wouldn't say it really happened or it didn't happen. But I that for you that went to the grave beyond, I can tell you for free that no Babaku was buried with him. Even the hour of Elisha too, not nobody was buried with him. Then about the gods who didn't foresee. Yoruba doesn't have, do not have the idea of gods. No God. Orisha, Orisha Rama, Orisha, legend, icon. Àwọn ọlọ́gbọ́n, so they are also to some extent certain energies of human being. You know? So the gods, I mean, not to call gods, they are Orisha. Ṣé wàá rí Orisha àti ọmọ ènìyàn is an ontological issue. To go láti máa sọ ní ìbáyìí. Some of these things are intellectual. Like a doctor, like the pastor Ferdinand said, and the Sheikh, the bottom line is we should subject Yoruba tradition to intellectual conversation, intellectual scrutiny. Tá a bá ń ṣe yẹn dáadáa, gbogbo nǹkan pè ní secrecy, kí ni transparency, a máa yé àwọn èèyàn. Bẹ́ẹ̀ mi ṣe rí nìyẹn o, ẹ ṣé.
Thank you very much. Well, we are gradually coasting home. I will be inviting Kabiyesi, the Olowu of Owu Kingdom, Oba Saka, Professor Saka Matemilola.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arojolu. Thanks also, Mr. Fatokun, for excellent coordination and moderation of this session today. It really has been a boiling point, as usual. I have not been disappointed. Again, thank you to our guest discussants, Pastor Femi Emmanuel, Imam Abrahman Ahmed, and Professor Jegede. Thank you very much for your contribution to this, and to all the participants as well. Now, as you will expect, in this kind of topic, it will be emotive, like I said earlier on. And everybody will always speak from the point of view of their faith, their belief. But let me speak from the point of view of somebody who is part of this system that we're talking about. You see, a lot of us confuse religion with tradition. And if you ask a lot of people who have been agitating about, oh, the burial must be traditional, ask them what exactly does that mean? I can bet you a large majority do not even know what it means. They just mouth it and say, yes, tradition. What really is tradition? When I was coming to this role, for example, I was in Equipe for 3 months, and I'm a Muslim. One of the concerns I had was around this as well. And I can tell you that really, when there's accommodation, like one of the scholars mentioned, I think it was Imam Abrahman, accommodation is not about tolerance. It's not about compromise at all. You will always find a way around some of these things. I'm happy that Mr. Ladigolu confirmed some of the things that some people have said is a myth. The question is that or your tradition? In this modern day and age, will that still be done, even if the Europeans hadn't stopped that at that time? When you say the way Obas are, some will say, oh, traditionally, you know, Obas are picked by Ifa. I wasn't picked by Ifa. I wasn't. And in many places in Yoruba land, they are not picked by Ifa. There are processes that they go through. Again, some of the things that we say our tradition, they are most of the time religious beliefs. And I think it's some of the things we need to begin to understand about them. A lot of the things that we talk about, a lot of people don't even know the details of what, for example, in Oyo and Ife, I know in Abeokuta, in Ijebu, the process may be different in terms of the selection, even though it may have a common theme of, okay, the kingmakers will go through a process, but in most of the time there will be some differences that are specific to the throne or to that particular part of Yoruba land. And it's not just one glove fit all in all the cases. But I think one of the things we need to just appreciate is that a lot of the things that we do not understand, we don't need to get emotive about it at all. I'm happy that we all had our say, and I can see even from the comments in the comment box that get emotive, aligned to their own faith as well. And it's natural. But please, please, and please, for God's sake, let's just accommodate each other. With mutual respect, we can live together and then have the best. Traditional rulers, for example, I recall that Pastor Emmanuel mentioned the fact that traditional rulers put themselves under no, it's not the case. It's what the Constitution has stipulated. It is what the Constitution has stipulated. So again, thank you very much to all of you who have contributed. Thank you very much, Wash FM, for for being a partner, a very good one for that matter, and all the other radio stations who have joined to help us to broadcast this. Thank you to all the contributors. Thank you to all our listeners on radio, and thank you to all those who join on Zoom Live. I know there are a number of other questions. I'm sure our guest speakers are always available. Some of the questions that have not been addressed, we'll try and put them all together and send them to the to the guest speakers. And if you can get good answers to them, we'll try and get that across to you. Again, we appreciate you all. And thank you very much and have a nice week ahead. Dr. Ojo, the ball is back in your court.
Thank you very much, Kavisi. The ball is back to my court. Well, it's been a nice one and a boiling session. I've seen a lot of messages. I wish Professor Wande Abimbola were here. Well, man proposes, God disposes, but he has confirmed to us by the 35th edition of Boiling Point Arena, that's a month away from now, Professor Wande Abimbola will be speaking on the decadence in Nigerian university system. He told me, he said he came, Professor Wande Abimbola lives in the US. And he told me he once came here, went around the universities, and he wept. He told me he complained that the amount of money, the salary of an average professor is not up to $500. And that is what he pays to his gardener to just cut grass for just a few hours. And that is all. Please, if you attended this Zoom, make it again next month. I want to thank all. I want to thank you in particular, all of you that make it a duty to see what boiling point you want to serve you. I give kudos to you. I thank the management of Wash FM and the other partners, Root FM, Sweet FM, Women FM, Cruise FM in Asaba, and am I missing one? Erimbe FM in Shagamu. Well, from in there, Ayo Arojolu signing out, edition 34, Boiling Point Arena. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. And of course, Dr. Ayo Arojolu, thank you very much. It's been nice to be here as the convener of the program. And to our guests, without leaving anyone out, talking about Pastor Femi Emmanuel and Sheikh Abdurrahman And of course, Associate Professor Bafemi Jagade, very big thanks to you. Kabiyesi, I've said it all, and to all our listeners and everyone, still stay tuned because by the 14th of next month, another very interesting session is coming up and you definitely don't want to miss. You can tell someone to prepare. I think Dr. Ayu has actually set the tone for that, and you definitely don't want to miss it. Samuel Fatuko, wishing you a very blessed weekend.
4.9 FM, your number one on health radio.
What was that sign about? Bro, I don't think they signed up, so maybe I was still in the entry. I go sleep like I sleep.
Let's see. Okay, let me know.
Hello? Yes, sir.
I want to see.
Shut down.
No, I want to see all of them.
Oh, okay.
Very interesting discussion.
And I can see their faces or something. Or this will move up. Okay. That arrow maybe.
Okay. This. Close.
No.
I think he wants to say something. I think he wants to say something on his Zoom. Do you want to say something?
No.
Oh, okay, so you can go like. All right, it's 10:29 p.m. from our studios, Wash 94.9 FM, the number one fun health radio. And in a few more minutes, one lesson will be coming your way. You want to stick around. Yeah. Leave. In fact, I wait. I can't wait. You know, say, I thought they might move. Very interesting one. Like, everybody just, now that shake, wow.
The Muslims are like that.
You are vexing.
And some people are also echoing what you say.
No answer man to fight. So, what else? I need to prepare for tomorrow morning.
Sure.
Yes.
And I'm okay.
Oh, okay. Okay, sir.
Ìbáwí. Wọ́n bá àwọn kíláàsì kan pé ìbàlẹ̀ ọjọ́ kan ló sùn. Ìbàlẹ̀ báwo? Ìbàlẹ̀ ní ewu ọ̀sìn. Wọ́n nígbà tó sọ pé ewu ọ̀sìn. Ìbáwí ọjọ́ kan ló sọ. Ìbáwí ọjọ́ kan.